Well, that's actually worked out quite well, because I would have got really, really nervous had I thought that I was up next, and I had no idea. So all it means that I've absolutely no idea what I'm going to say. So a couple of caveats before I start, and I'm going to stand out of the light because my head is probably blinding some of you. A couple of caveats before I start. Apologies, I am from England. Apologies, I'm from like the north of England. Got a really dry sense of humour. So you all look like really nice people. So just as a health warning, pretty much the first 5 minutes of what I'm going to say take with a huge pinch of salt. Like, you know what it's like when you want to tell a good story, right? You add a bit, you take a bit away, so just the first 5 minutes, give me a bit of a break. The end of it will all be good, and it'll all be fine. So the example that I want to choose is probably the best use of technology by a non-profit I've ever come across in my entire life. And again, like Ken, I've been around the block. You can see the fine lines don't lie. So this is the most incredibly exquisite, brilliant, simple, wonderful piece of technology for a charity to show people what they do and to inspire you to give to them. I kind of thought that, and then the other day I went back to look at the slide of actually what it is, and I thought, I'm going to show that, having said that, and you're all going to laugh. Well, you're probably not even going to laugh. You're going to be, that isn't that impressive. So what I'm going to have to do is tell a little bit of a story to at least get you in the place of why on earth do I think that this thing is impressive. So the organization, first, I need to explain who it is, right? I need to explain who on earth the RNLI are. And I thought this was a good opportunity for a bit of audience participation. So my example is the RNLI. And when I say that next time, I want you all to shout out, who? It's kind of like pantomime. Do you do pantomime in Canada? Yeah? You're going to bear with me? I'm going to die up here if you don't. So the organization I'm going to talk about today is the RNLI. You know what? That's probably the best I'm going to get, isn't it? So I'm going to move on. So the RNLI. Who are the RNLI? So you know the UK, right? Tiny little island. You must have seen it on the map. There's Europe, and then there's that little funny squiggly bit thing. And tiny, nothing like the magnificent open spaces that you guys have, filled with wonderful raccoons and all that good stuff that you have over here. But our tiny little island, really overcrowded, loads of people. What we like to do every now and again is get out, get ourselves on the ocean. We don't really train that much for it. How hard can it be to steer a 20-foot yacht? So every now and again, we like to get out on the ocean, go into the water, and then sometimes, I don't know if you've heard, sometimes the weather isn't great over there either. So sometimes it gets a bit out of control, people get into trouble, and the RNLI are a group of gentlemen, usually bearded, and women. No, not now. A group of gentlemen and women, women aren't necessarily bearded, but the gentlemen definitely are, who are volunteers, so they put down whatever they're doing, their rolling pins if they're bakers, their axes if they're woodsmen, I don't know, whatever. What jobs do people do? I've no idea. Anyway, they put down whatever they're doing, they rush down to the harbour, jump in a lifeboat's a clue, and go and save these people from a fate worse than death, or indeed death. And that's what they do, and the most amazing thing about them, obviously, is they do that of their own volition. No one's paying them, no one's kind of, holding a gun to their head. That is what they do, which is incredible, right? So the story I wanted to tell actually features Ken again, actually, a little bit. So I used to work for his agency in London, overworked, underpaid art director. And I worked on the RNLI's account. And the first, really? The first job I had on the RNLI account was to try and beat their banker insert. So this is the RNLI's banker insert. You see the copy, you see the picture of the lifeboat man there in the middle. And the RNLI had got a call one day from a lady called Mrs. Thompson. And Mrs. Thompson was the widow of the gentleman, not the person you see there, but the previous person who featured in this insert, who was called Peter Thompson. And Peter Thompson had passed away about 10 years earlier, and Mrs. Thompson was kind of a little bit fed up by the fact that she was seeing her husband's image in the paper all the time, so wondered if they could possibly, Sorry, just try some water. That's much better. So I wondered if they could possibly find a substitute for Mr. Thompson. So as an art director in Ken's agency, he sent me out, possibly on a bike. He's a little bit careful with his money. He's from Scotland. Sent me out on a tour of the British Isles to try and beat Peter Thompson's picture with another person. So this took a while. The insert was really good. It raised loads of money. So it took a while to kind of beat him. And one of the key features that you'll notice about Mr. Huggett here and Mr. Thompson was that they were very wet. You know, they looked as if they'd just come out of the ocean. They were covered in water. You know, they rugged, fully bearded. So as a young art director, I was off on my bike around the UK, cycling up to lifeboat stations. And these people are tough people, right? They eat iron for breakfast. You know, the last thing they want to do is have somebody come along and take their photo, let alone have to make them wet in some way. So I spent a good 2 or 3 weeks traveling around the coast, going up to these gentlemen, trying to get them not to hit me, first of all, trying to encourage them to actually let me take their photo, and then finally throwing a bucket of water over them to make them suitably damp. But within that experience, I got to know them. On a couple of occasions, there was actually a shout, which is kind of when there's a rescue, when I was there. So I saw them actually risking their lives. I saw them doing what it says on the flyer, but you can't actually see in real life. So volunteers rush down to the harbour, risk their lives for no other reason other than they're good human beings, which I think is absolutely incredible. So as I carried on working on the account a bit, we did okay, but I sort of was always a bit frustrated by the fact that you could never really, in the direct mail or in any sort of medium we had available to us, communicate the fact that they were saving lives at sea. I wanted somehow people to experience what I had, you know, when I was up in the Outer Hebrides and there was a shout and I saw them all rush down to the harbour and I saw that, you know, it was like the perfect storm out there and there were 50-foot waves and they just did that because they cared. How do you kind of communicate that? And I know this is a bit geeky and you're probably going to be deeply disappointed, but the thing that I love and the thing that is my example is if you go to their site now, what you can see on there is a little map of the UK, and whenever a lifeboat is launched, the coxswain, the head-bearded guy, gets a message on his pager. When that message goes off, it instantly sends a message to the website, and you can see in real time, 24/7, every day of the year, you can see that the RNLI are doing what you give them money for. They are out there at that second, you know, so they flash if it's actually live and there's a launch right now, and they're just orange if they launched within the past day or so. So it's beautifully simple, it's low tech, there's no big data, there's no incredible technological thing going on. It's a simple old school pager that pings the site. There are no people running around making it happen. So that's why I think it's the most simple, lovely, effective thing that actually shows what that organization does in real time, which for me is what technology should be about. So thank you.